Good morning. This is a public hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on Wednesday, October 14th, 2020, in accordance with the provisions of the Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Town of Chatham's Wetland Protection Bylaw, Chapter 272. It's being broadcast live on Channel 18 and recorded for the archives. My name's Janet Williams, and as the chair of the Conservation Commission, I'm opening this hearing at 9:01 a.m. Today's hearing is being conducted by remote video conference pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency orders prohibiting the gathering of large groups of people. Every effort's been made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. The agenda and copies of all documents for review today are posted on the town website. A reminder that persons watching on Channel 18 who would like to participate in this meeting while it's in progress may do so by calling the number that will be displayed on the screen. So to all participants, please make sure you have muted yourselves and remain muted unless you are speaking. If you're on the phone, you should press *6 to mute and unmute yourselves. Also, persons who are attending should please turn your cameras off to reduce the strain on the feed. When you are addressing the commission or asking questions, you should feel free to turn your camera on at that point. Otherwise, keep it off. As we consider each matter today, I'll be asking for comments and questions from participants on the call after we've gone through the commissioners. If you wish to speak, please let us know that and unmute yourself. All commission votes today will be by roll call so that we have a record of a quorum attending today. I'll now ask each commission member to indicate their presence on the call by stating their name and their presence. Commissioner Rawls.
Rob Rawls here.
Commissioner Kitts.
Kitts, present.
Commissioner Del Vecchio.
Present.
Commissioner Clark.
Present.
Commissioner Holmes. Ron, hit *6 to unmute yourself if you're on the phone.
Yes, Holmes
There he
present.
is. Hello, welcome to your first hearing after having gone through your first work session.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the scheduling declaration. Since the start of the emergency period on March 10th, the Commission has scheduled applications for hearings in the order in which those applications have been received. I'm exercising the authority conferred on me by Section 17B5 of the Act of 2020 as the chair of the Conservation Commission to declare that the following applications have been scheduled for hearings on the following dates. On October 28th, 82 Jericho Lane, 497 Orleans Road, 185 Sears Road, 90 Honeysuckle Lane. On November the 18th, 44 Tisquantum Road, 32 Seapine Road, 50 Old Salt Works, and 89 Taylor's Pond Road. And on December the 9th, 110 Seashells Drive, 94 Seashells Drive, and 60 Sea Mist Lane. These hearing scheduling dates have all been posted on the town website, so if you have a question, please check that. We have a couple of continuances that have been requested for today. At the request of the applicant, if you are here for any of the following applications, they will not be heard today. 83 Seagull Road, 30 Wickies Way, aka 0 Tisquantum Road, 25, 27, 59, 75, and 97 to Lippy Run, all part of the application coming from Outermost Harbor Marina. 203 Cross Street and 305 Main Street. All of those will be continued and not today. And I think, Callie, that brings us to our first item on the agenda.
Okay, our first item on the agenda is a field change request for 28 Eel River Road, Jeffrey Lyons, SE10 3402, field change request to move the location of the proposed kayak rack.
All right, as we may recall, so when we approved this application, we approved a kayak rack to be installed on the stairway heading down the bank to the beach. The applicants have requested to move that, because they're older and the effort of lifting the kayaks up off of the railings on the stairs and carrying them up and down the stairs is too much. So Callie, what are they requesting?
Well, I can put that up on the screen.
Yep.
Everybody should have
Yep.
received
Yep.
all the materials.
Yep.
Uh,
We also, in that order, there was a specific condition in that order that there was to be no storing on the beach itself, which is, so often, too often, where kayaks end up being strewn about on the beach. We wanted them up off the beach.
So here's a photograph of the proposed kayak rack location to the right side of the steps.
So they're currently sitting on the beach like that. That's what we told them is no longer acceptable to do that. So that open area to the left of the stairway is what they're talking about?
They're requesting, to be on either side of the stairway and install something sort of similar to this.
Okay.
This is just an example. It's not actually installed.
Right.
So it looks like the proposed original kayak rack installation, if you guys can see that,
Yep, we can.
was on the actual stairs itself, but it looks like they're proposing it to be on both sides of the stairs. So it's up to the commission whether or not you want to approve the field change request for the new location of the kayak rack.
Okay. And the location on the stairs, do we know? I would assume that would accommodate one kayak on each side. I've not seen that kind of configuration holding more than one.
Yeah, typically the representative for the project is here to answer any questions. I don't see him on the call, so which is unfortunate, but yeah, it was my understanding that this type of rack would hold the kayaks on the stairs themselves.
Right. I guess my question is, and I wish he were here, if the design is similar to what is shown in the photographs, each of those stands holds at least 2 kayaks. So I don't know why they want 2. If they had capacity to store 2 on the stairs, one of those racks should be sufficient in them. But
I mean, if you guys want to condition the field change request that he's allowed for one of the racks and specify right or left, then
okay.
that.
I think we should do that, and if they believe that they need more storage capacity than that, then they can ask again. But I don't want to overdo it if there's no need to it. I mean, it's better to get the kayaks off the beach. On the other hand, it is an installation. So my personal view is to do it with one and see if that can hold the 2 kayaks that we had approved storage for on the stairs.
This is Bob Rawls. I have another thought as well. The picture that they showed as samples show a bunch of the paddle boards on the ground, on the sand. And so I think that's the reason for that is there's only a J rack at the top level of the poles. There's no J rack for, let's say, a second kayak closer to the sand. So I think we should stipulate that nothing's going to be on the sand.
On the beach, yep.
Yeah, nothing's on the beach. So they have to be lifted off the beach, unlike what that picture shows.
Okay. Okay.
And this is Kit here. I have a question about why they're parallel to the wetlands and not parallel to the stairs. Wouldn't it be less impactful if they're parallel to the stairs?
Yes, it depends on where the grass ends and the beach starts. If they're on the sand, it would be less impact. If the grass starts further back, I don't know. I think,
think-
Callie, I'm getting the sense that we have questions and we have comments, and maybe we need to bring the applicant representative.
Yeah, I think it looks like it's a shame he's not here.
Yep.
So if he, if you guys have some questions and
Yep.
you're not getting the answers that you need to make a decision, then we
Yep.
may as well wait till continue this to another time.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take it to the 28th and tell them to please come and answer our questions before we can approve the number, the configuration, the capacity. Those are the areas that so far we've raised some questions.
Okay.
We then have a motion to continue this. Do we need to do a formal continuance? Yes, because it's been scheduled.
Yep.
Never mind. I answered my own question to continue it to October 28th.
Bob Rawls moved to continue to October 28th.
Kitts, second.
All right, roll call vote to continue this to October 28th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Kitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
Okay. We'll take it back up again on the 28th. All right, Callie, moving on.
Okay, next is the amendment to orders of conditions, 110 Old Salt Works, Goodrich Chatham Realty Trust, Goodrich LLC, SE10 3263, request to amend an existing order of conditions to relocate the generator or install flood-proof enclosures, replace and install new fences, redesign the front gate, and revise the landscape plan and driveway material. I just want to remind the commission that this is phase 1 of an amendment request. So really the only question here is whether or not the applicant can move forward as an amendment or if they need to file a separate notice of intent. So typically the agenda says phase 1, that was left off. So this is just phase 1 of the request.
Okay.
I know Mike Ford is here.
So,
Mike, do you have sound?
Yes, I do, if you can hear me.
yes, we
Yep.
can. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission, and Callie. I think Sean Riley is also on the call if there was a question for him, but as Callie has properly framed this, this is really seeking permission to proceed with the amendment process. So it's procedural in nature, but given the past custom of the commission, I tried to outline in a very short letter what the scope of the proposed amendment would be. Moving a generator out of the velocity zone, which seems to make abundant sense. Floodproofing the compressors and the generator that are on the site. They'd like to do some fence replacements and installation, and this might be a good opportunity, as Callie reminded me, that that fence is not necessarily critter friendly that's out there now, and this would be an opportunity to do that when we replace some of the fencing that's there. And the applicant understands that. And then some revisions to the landscape plan, and they're considering, although it will continue to be pervious, a different type of material on the driveway. They haven't decided on it yet. And I've advised them that needs commission review and approval as well. So I think they're all things that, several of them anyway, will make a better project. There won't be a greater impact on the resources you're charged with protecting. And so I think it can be brought within the confines of the existing order, which is to construct that single family house and undertake all the things shown on the existing site plan.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Callie and Attorney Ford are right that this is just a question of whether this is within the scope of the original order. And as I review the original order, it was quite broad because it was a complete development plan of the property, demolition of the existing structure and construction of a new house. So it would seem to me anyway that these various items, the location of the generator, very, very happy to see it moved out of the velocity zone, and reconfigurations of the fence and the driveway would certainly be within the scope of that order. And without saying anything further, because we don't know exactly what you're proposing, it would seem to me that it fits within. Do we have questions from commissioners?
Clark.
Yes, Tom.
Yeah, just the lack of detail at this point causes me concern. I think it's too early to move forward on the request, although on its face it would seem reasonable. But for example, there's lack of detail on the fencing. I don't understand what they're going to do in terms of the landscape plan or the driveway material. I know it's within, but I mean, it's up in the ether. We don't know what the details are. I'd also like to know what the BFE is for the site, given the fact that the site is very much susceptible to flooding. And I also would like to know if the house design is FEMA compliant.
Those are all excellent questions, and those are questions that would need to be answered when we get to phase 2. In phase 1, the only issue we are called upon to determine is whether what's being proposed, the changes, are within the scope of the original order, so that they would move forward to ask us and apply for an amendment, at which point when we go
without the
phase 2,
details, I don't see how we can evaluate it.
well, we will get to that. I think that certainly in a full property development project that included demolition and reconstruction, location of a generator, all of these different elements were part of the original order. You're right, there's no real detail to move on to unless Attorney Ford has something to say.
Madam Chair, and perhaps Sean Riley can jump in if you want. My understanding of the commission's process, and each commission on the Cape appears to handle these amendments a little differently. But in Chatham, there's a gatekeeper meeting like this one, where you give a concept plan of what you're after and a short narrative, and the commission decides whether you should file a full new NOI or bring it as an amendment. All of Mr. Clark's comments are good. I'm sure Sean Riley is listening. They're all going to be addressed in a detailed site plan. But the whole idea of the gatekeeper, as I understand it, meeting is to decide the process. Do we bring this as an amendment, which will have a full public hearing and notice to abutters, and the commission will be able to look at all of these things in as much detail as if we brought a brand new NOI. It's just for efficiency as to whether this continues under the existing order. The gravamen of that for the applicant will be that these things will need to be done during the life of the existing order, as opposed to under a new order of conditions, which they'd have 3 additional years, if it was approved, to undertake them. So it's kind of a regulatory efficiency, I think, to keep this all under one order of conditions. They all relate to the redevelopment of the project. So,
Mike, that's correct. This is Sean Riley. Can you hear me?
Yes, Sean, go ahead.
Yes, and under the original amendment, as Mike spoke to, there was a new fence proposed. There was a pervious driveway proposed. The mechanicals were all proposed. So we're not proposing anything new. This could have been possibly handled under a field change request. We've moved to do an amendment to the order. But again, this is just a clarification meeting to decide whether or not these changes fit within the scope of the original framework of the order of conditions, or, as Mike stated, whether or not this would require a full new notice of intent because the change does not fit within the original scope. All the information is in the packet as far as the building's compliance with FEMA and the areas that were vegetated, the areas that were delineated for the driveway. The driveway configuration is not changing. So again, this is just to get to the next stage, and we'll provide all of the details and specifics within that application.
Okay. Tom, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah,
As long as
we don't need a new NOI on this, and I don't want 2 open separate
No.
orders. So it should all be, it's properly consolidated into, this would be the second amendment, correct?
yes, it would.
Okay. Other
yeah,
questions?
that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments?
We just asked that I guess they're in the middle of construction, and I know your backlog, and I appreciate your backlog. If there's any way that we could expedite the hearing date for this.
Well, you've got to file your phase 2 first before we can schedule that. So if you've got that ready to go, we can schedule it for a hearing as soon as possible.
Yeah, we intend on filing that today. We just needed to make sure that we had approval to do so.
Yes. All right, let me get the formal approval. Is there a motion to approve the request, phase 1 request?
Bob Rawls, I move to approve the consideration of a phase 1 request for the project.
Kits, second.
All right, roll call vote to approve the phase 1 request. Commissioner Rawls?
Aye.
Pitts?
Aye.
Delvecchio?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So you've got your phase 1 approval, file your phase 2, and we will hold the hearing.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda are notices of intent. 40 Gamies Lane, Christopher Young is the applicant. The Glenview Trust Company is the owner, SE 103433. Proposed rebuilding of stairs, installation of seasonal catwalk to edge of marsh, and addition of kayak rack and catwalk storage at 40 Gamies Lane, Assessor's Map 15B, Parcel 4A.
Thank you, Callie. I'm just looking at my notes. The last time this was before us was on September the 9th. This has been continued from then. It was continued to file with ZBA. So if representatives here, we can find out what the status of ZBA is.
Good morning. For the record, Thad Eldridge, Southeast.
Good morning, Thad.
We have filed with the Zoning Board of Appeals. We're on for the first meeting in November.
Okay.
After staff review, there was one minor change where the lateral stairs are being moved back on the property a little bit. But otherwise, we're waiting for zoning.
Okay. Questions from commissioners. Bob Rawls?
Yeah, I think I had some. Hold on.
Yep.
I was expecting, I guess, a little more information, updated information to talk about. Just looking back at my notes from last time, it was a little confusing to me then. I guess I'd like to see if I can get more clarification on what is happening with the float. I think you may remember I had a concern last time with the styrofoam, whether it is or whether it isn't in that float. And at first I thought the float was going to be replaced. Then toward the end of the hearing, I got the impression that it was not going to be replaced. And that someone, I think, said that they would check to see and make sure that that's not styrofoam in the float, because this would be a great time, if it is, to get rid of that and replace it with something else. It's not biodegradable.
We have no float on this one.
No float.
The proposal here is to have a strict catwalk, seasonally removed, using the through flow, using aluminum posts, aluminum feet with a 10 by 10 square to hold it on top of the marsh. The stairs themselves will be reconstructed. Everything's shifting over just a little bit to meet the zoning setbacks. And we have a proposed kayak rack at the top of the bank that will act as a storage for the catwalk in the winter.
So no existing float and no proposed float.
They would really like it if you'd give it to them, but
Well, is there a float?
no.
Okay. And one is not being proposed.
Correct.
Okay.
This is a simple catwalk through flow out to the edge of the salt marsh so that they're not using the path that exists there today.
Okay. Well, that clears that up then. I think I think that's all. The only question I had outstanding.
Okay. Joe, do you have questions?
Nope. Thank you.
Bob Delvecchio?
I just had a question about the height of the catwalk and would it allow enough light to hit the marsh, for growth of the marsh.
So we're using the through flow that allows quite a bit of the light to get through. We have the catwalk set between 2.4 and 4.1 feet above the salt marsh. So while there is going to be shadowing, no matter where we put it, there will be a significant amount of light will make it through.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay, Tom, questions?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Ron, this one started before your time, so we're gonna skip you on
Janet,
this.
I have one.
Yes, go ahead, Kelly, you're next.
I just wanted to ask Thad real quickly, where you propose or the homeowner proposes to store the seasonal sections.
Right on top of the kayak rack.
Okay, so, and that's outside of the floodplain. It's just hard to see.
It's actually within the floodplain. We noticed that the technician labeled this an 11. It's actually a 12. So it will be in the floodplain. It will be elevated. And if we look at sheet 5, you'll see the catwalk storage schematic on the left side.
Yep.
These will be strapped down because the wind would take them. They're fairly light, or light enough. And they are going to be above the base flood elevation for the storage.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have a question, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Tom.
I noticed that it's mentioned in the application that the catwalk will be removed when a large storm is forecast. I assume we would have to put that in as a special condition, but I was wondering if it is removed, is it just simply put in the same place that it would be for its seasonal storage? And if so, is it attached or held down in some manner?
Yes, they're going to be strapping this thing down for the winter because you wouldn't want the big storm to come in when they're not here and spread that all over the place.
Yeah, we'll make that a condition that it be secured, particularly since it's in the floodplain. Any other questions? All right, Thad, so if you're going, what's the date in November?
I believe the 5th.
Okay. Our first date after that would be the work session on the 2nd.
On the 4th. It's a work session on November 4th.
Well, we can't do that, can we? If they
Well,
haven't been to zoning yet?
No, the only requirement in the Wetlands Protection Act is that they file with the Zoning Board of Appeals, not that they have a decision or approval.
Right.
In some cases where, a project is going through many hearings on both sides, you typically do wait for the zoning board to review it. But if you guys are kind of good with this one, there's no reason to wait until the Zoning Board of Appeals. We can continue it to the work session to draft an order, and then if I get permission from you guys, I can write a letter to the zoning board stating that it can be approved with special and general conditions.
Okay. That's fine for me. I don't think that there's anything about this that makes me think that zoning would change anything in it. So
we will be submitting the minor revision again. The lateral stairs for the public access are going to be moving a little bit landward, and that floodplain needs to be updated to the correct one.
All right, and you'll get the revised site plan to Callie?
Yes.
Well in advance of the work session?
Yes, we'll get it by next week.
All right. So do we have a motion then to continue this to the work session on November 4th?
Bob Rawls moved to continue the session to November 4th work session.
Kits, second.
All right, roll call vote to continue this to November the 4th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Kitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
You get to vote on this, Ron, 'cause it's just a process question about continuing it. And I vote aye as well, so that's unanimous to take this to the work session on November the 4th. All right, thank you, Thad.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is 38 Willow Bend, Jennifer and Daniel Campbell, SE 10-3441, proposed pool and patio construction, management of invasive species and mitigation at 38 Willow Bend, Assessors Map 16D, Parcel 13. This project was continued from an earlier hearing, but this is actually the first hearing for this project.
Correct. And Callie, Thad, are you going to control the screen, or do you want Callie to put the site plan up?
Callie can do a great job with it, so.
Yes, she does.
Okay, give me a second.
Yep.
Okay,
All righty. For the record, Thad Eldridge, East Southeast. So we have a little lot down in the downtown area. They have a nice house on it, completely developed property, and they would like a pool. So we have proposed a pool that extends within the 100-foot buffer. We're meeting all of the setbacks under zoning, so we're not looking at any relief there. And for mitigation, we're proposing to clear out the non-native invasives, plant native plants, and maintain a strip around it so we can keep the invasives on the abutting properties at bay. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you for that short and to the point presentation. I'll open this to questions from commissioners. Bob Rawls, do you have any questions for Thad?
Yeah, I have a few. Just in a random order, the plan shows this sort of brick-like pattern around the property edge in the back. What is that?
Well, that would be the siltation barrier,
Oh, okay, all right,
kind of a straw bale or a silt fence.
right. Would the patio be permeable or not?
It would be permeable because you typically require that.
Well, if it were only true that everything we required was complied with, but good.
And one of the options with pools that we should always consider, if we pitch everything back towards the pool, stormwater runoff would go back into the pool itself. It gets evaporated out anyhow, so it's fine.
So it looks like there's going to be a wall around the patio and the pool, right? It's 4 feet tall on one side and 3 feet tall on the other. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, where the wall extends within the zoning setback, it cannot exceed 3 feet in height. Around the north side, we're going to 4 feet in height because we meet the zoning setback. And if you have a wall that's 4 feet, you don't need a fence. So in that section, we have no fence. In the other sections, we have fences on top of the wall.
So the fence, okay, so the fence is along the top of the wall, except along the rear of the property.
Sure.
I see. All right. So will Phil be brought in?
Yes, because that patio is going to be substantially higher.
Substantially higher, right?
Than the ground. I mean, it's 3 or 4 feet higher than the ground. So it's
Okay. You are proposing a path to be mowed around the perimeter of the backyard for the purpose of preventing invasives from the neighboring property to come into the mitigation, right?
I think fighting the invasives is a better term. than prevention.
Well, yeah, I guess that's where I'm sort of heading. The question is whether that, I applaud at least making an effort to keep the invasives from invading, but it would, I guess the question is whether it be effective at all, and whether it will then subsequently invade the mitigation area and we get the pool, but we get no mitigation. Always the concern, but it seems like maybe even more of a concern with this particular application than some.
We have to start somewhere.
Well,
Commissioner Rawls, Teresa Sprague here with Blue Fox Design. If I could address that
sure,
question.
please do, yeah.
So the vegetation that we're proposing to plant around the perimeter of the pool is mainly large vegetation, include large shrubs, aronia, chokeberry, bayberry, viburnum. There are some lower shrubs that are proposed, but in general, these would not be shrubs that could accidentally be mown. It would be quite difficult, frankly, to mow them. Once they're in there, they'd go in at a 3-gallon size. So they'd be at about a 3-foot height when they're installed. And then they would grow to their mature fruiting size, anywhere from 5 to 7 or 8 feet tall. So the idea is that once the invasive vegetation is removed, and we're presuming it will be removed mechanically, just because of the tight area that we're dealing with and the work that's going to have to take place for the pool. So we're proposing to go in and pre-treat the invasive vegetation prior to the mechanical removal with the pool construction. Once the equipment is out of there, the whole area would be seeded with a grass mix as shown on the proposed plan. Then the shrub planting would be put in as indicated, but that grass mix will remain. And so a once annual mowing would be really all that's required to prevent the vegetation from moving in. So if the area, that strip, sort of the firewall, we're calling it, was to be mowed once a year in late winter, early spring, that would be sufficient to keep the vegetation off of the shrubs. That doesn't mean that during the summer, somebody wouldn't have to go ahead and, if some of the porcelainberry vine, which is the predominant invasive vegetation that's in the surrounding area, were to crawl back in, that really need to be pulled off and treated. But the idea is that by at least keeping a mow strip or a firewall, it will prevent that vegetation from moving back in. I mean, ideally, whoever the property owner is in the surrounding area would manage all of that invasive vegetation. It's really heavily invasive.
Yeah,
I have a question about that point, Madam Chair.
One moment there, Tom. I just wanted to let Bob have
Sure.
a chance to.
Oh, sorry, I thought everybody was done.
I'm not particularly concerned about there being I'm glad that there's a mow strip, or as you call it, a firewall around it. I'm just, and it sounds like the vegetation you're putting in the mitigation area is going to be shrubby, which is good. In theory, it's more resistant to being invaded, I guess. You might think that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still worry and still expect that unless some effort's made to keep the mitigation area invasive free ongoing, that it's really just going to get taken over, given how much there is on the perimeter of the property. Anyway, I'm not sure what necessarily can be done about it. Maybe mowing more than once a year. I don't know.
That's a potential as well, and certainly that could be done. It just sometimes more disturbance is actually more detrimental. And I think the way to characterize the woody vegetation that's going in is not that it isn't as susceptible to invasive vegetation, but that it's not susceptible to being accidentally mown when the strip around the edge is being mown. And what I mean by that is it's large enough so that lawnmowers wouldn't accidentally be encroaching into the mitigation area. So I'm more thinking about protecting it from two sides. One is protecting it from the invasive vegetation creeping in, and then one is protecting it from accidental overzealous lawn maintenance companies.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all. Those are all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Tom, you wanted to follow up on something there?
Yeah, well, I wanted to follow up on Bob's question, which is I don't understand how a mowed area is going to stop roots and rhizomes from intruding into the property. So elucidate, please.
So most of the vegetation that's the invasive vegetation that's surrounding is shrub honeysuckle, and which spreads from seed, fruiting bodies, and then porcelain berry vine similarly spreads from seeds from the fruit. So basically, by mowing this once a year, it does two things. One, it keeps an area where if you do see some vegetation moving in, it opens it up so that you're able to hand pull or selectively treat it. And unlike other invasive vegetation like Japanese knotweed, for instance, that comes in via rhizomes, those two particular species, which are the dominant invasive species in the surrounding area, don't spread that way. So you'd get a seedling that may come in from a berry, seeds that are dropped by birds or whatever from the shrub honeysuckle. At that point, it's a very shallow rooted plant species. It's really easily pulled. Porcelain berry is likely going to try and creep in as a vine. So by mowing it, you're just preventing it from creeping in from the edges. And then again, if you do see a seedling sprouting, you can easily hand pull it at that point. So it just keeps it low enough that it's manageable. There's no magic bullet here for eradication or anything like that. This is going to be a constant pushback to keep this vegetation out. I think Thad stated it beautifully earlier. It's basically you're beating it back, you're fighting it back. But by mowing that once a year or perhaps more frequently, you're able to kind of hold that line, and that's why we jokingly call it a firewall, because it basically is just preventing something from moving into the area, and that's really the best we can do in a situation like this.
So these plants don't just drop, I mean, they don't cast their seed to the wind, so to speak. They're just dropping it?
Basically, and honestly, it's more, it's spread by birds because the berries are birds are eating the berries and dropping them in other locations.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Joe, questions?
No, just a quick comment on what we're talking about here. My reclaimed area in the back is now going on 6 years, and it is going to require significant intervention. That stuff just comes back in the middle of nowhere, and you have no idea where it came from. So yes, it's those little birdies dropping the seeds. So, I mean, I feel like that there needs to be some kind of like ongoing special condition that maintenance is absolutely necessary, because if you go a couple of years without it, it's just going to be, that porcelain berry is going to be all over that stuff.
I think everybody's on the same page about the degree of vigilance that is going to be required here to protect this area, because that is a sea, it's an ocean of invasives.
No, seriously.
Out there. So I think we would have to be careful to put in a condition that's a continuing requirement to maintain it, and to not just mow the firewall area, but as Joe pointed out, to be on the lookout for invasives that are coming up in the middle. And
yeah, agree that monitoring is a regular yearly monitoring is going to be important for this. And by monitoring, I mean the homeowners or their contractors monitoring, because that is going to be the best prevention here.
Yep. Okay. Joe, anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Bob Delvecchio, questions?
I had a question on the fence on either side of the pool. Is that going to be above, to allow, wildlife to go back and forth underneath it?
There is a requirement that fence cannot allow a ball 4 inches in diameter to pass through it.
Because of safety?
Yes,
Okay, but the back section will be open, correct?
it will be.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Tom, any other questions from you?
Is there going to be an automatic cover?
There may be, yes. We're putting in a lot of auto covers on these pools, and some insurance companies accept them and some insurance companies don't like them. So with this scenario, having the fence on the sides of the wall, having the 4-foot wall on the north side, it meets both criteria if we put in the auto cover. Keeping all the
Okay,
insurance
my concern was just basically children making their way in through the backside, which is open.
This would be no different than having a fence. That's why the 4-foot high wall is, it's an acceptable method for preventing people from entering the pool.
Did well, maybe I missed something, and forgive me if I did. I thought there was just fencing on 3 sides.
Yes, and on the north side, there's a 4-foot high wall that would have to be traversed in order to gain access to the pool. It's no different than having a 4-foot high fence.
Oh, I see. Okay, so there's fence all the way around, not just on 3 sides.
There's
It's a
wall
little
on the north side.
I'm looking at it and I'm echoing Tom's confusion because, so there's a 4-foot wall on the north side, which I presume also acts as a retaining wall because of the grade change there. And then, so Cal, if you can run your cursor over that, and then the wall on the 2 sides is 3 foot, and there's a fence on top of that. Is that what we've got?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And that wall on the north side that's 4 feet high is an alternative to having a fence on that side.
Yep.
Okay, my question then was, what's on the south side?
That's that's fence all around those areas. There's the fence will tie.
Okay, so that's also got a 3-foot fence with a topper on it or something like that. Is that correct?
It's a 4-foot fence that's required with that 4-inch spacing. And then the gates have to have the special lever and they automatically close. And they have the option here of either gating at the deck before the stairs or putting an alarm on the doors coming out into that area.
Madam Chair, is this something where, at least on one side, we should not leave it to an election, but in essence force a decision so that we know? I'm always concerned, having grown up in a house with a pool and seen it when the family was away on vacation, seeing the neighbors' neighborhood children sneak into the pool. Needless to say, we were horrified at the risk. I'm very sensitive to these kinds of issues, having unfortunately had neighborhood kids occasionally drown in such circumstances. So I just want to make sure that the pool is not accessible in all directions. At least that's my concern. Maybe
as horrific as that scenario is, it's not a conservation question. That's for the building department.
That's true. They do double check those issues in terms of the safety.
Okay.
So we're backstopped by them. We don't need to.
Yeah, there's a series of codes that need to be met, and
and they're pretty strict.
Okay. Fine.
Ron, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I have a question about the mitigation. Normally, Teresa, you give us a timeline.
Yeah, we didn't do one in this case because the removal is going to be mechanical and it's going to be done at the same time the pool is constructed. So we did put in our plan notes that we will be pre-treating the invasive vegetation prior to the mechanical removal, but that be that basically when the pool is being constructed, the contractor will be doing most of the clearing. It is a really tight area, so it's basically going to be a little bit of a bombed area while the pool is being constructed, and then and then we'll be seeding and stabilizing the area immediately, and then doing follow-up planting after we've reached 80% control, which is in the plan notes. Because of the mechanical removal, that will be immediately after the pool construction is complete and the machinery is out of there.
I think, Janet, though, your question was more to a timeline for monitoring and maintenance, which is what is typically submitted for these.
Sure, we could just submit a timeline for just giving you some information about follow-up management that we would be doing over the 3 years of the permit and the monitoring for the plant health.
Okay.
Yeah, we could absolutely submit that. I could have that to you by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you. Callie, questions?
Yeah, I have two. So how much how much fill are you bringing in? I didn't find that in your application. I mean, you're saying, I think you said, I think I heard you say substantial amount of fill. I'm just wondering how much.
So, I mean, it's going up 4 feet from the grade, and then it's the pool itself. There'll be some excavation, but there's no real room on the site to stockpile, so they'll have to pull that out and bring material in. I can certainly run a calculation to give you a yardage.
Sure. And then I think, Teresa, did I hear you say that you guys are contracted to do the planting and the follow-up maintenance and monitoring?
We have not submitted an estimate for that work to the property owners yet, but so we do not have a contract to do that work at this time. But certainly that's something we could speak to the property owners about.
Okay. That's it for me.
Okay. And I think that there are no further questions. We're getting close, and perhaps we should just take this to the hearing on the 28th. Callie, so let's just run through.
Well, can I propose an alternative scenario? If we're just waiting for a timeline for management over 3 years and maintenance from Teresa, and a calculation from Thad for the amount of fill that's needed for the pool, then is it possible for them? We
don't need a hearing.
Right.
We can just go. Assuming those pieces come in the next week, we could go straight to the work session with us.
Yep.
Okay, I like that. That's efficient. Is there a motion then to continue this to the work session on the 4th of November, contingent upon receipt of the timeline and the fill quantification?
Ms. Fabral, I'll so move all that you just said.
There you go.
And Kitch will second that.
All right, roll call vote to continue this to the 4th under those conditions. Commissioner Rawls.
Aye.
Kitts.
Aye.
Delvecchio.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. So you guys get that in, and we will see you at the work session.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Callie, moving on.
The next item on the agenda is 95 Skyway, John and Laura Keating, SE 10-3437, proposed installation of a set of timber access stairs with a midway platform and landing, proposed second set of stairs down to a seasonal aluminum dock at 95 Skyway, Assessor's Map 10F, Parcel R5.
Yes, good morning. This is Mark Burgess with Shorefront Consulting.
Good morning, Mr. Burgess. I think we last heard from you on the 9th of September. And
yes, And,
Bring us up to date on where things are now.
Yes. So Dan Croto, who is probably on the line here, was asked to revise his part of the plans to separate out some of the mitigation. And I know those plans were submitted. And then on my end, I was asked to revise the 24 by 36 plan that to add the kayak racks. And I included that information. The hard copies were given to Callie yesterday. I think you have a digital copy of that plan. And I also included a photo of another seasonal dock that has these racks on it. I don't know if you guys have that or not. I can hold it up to my screen, I think.
No. Callie sent it out this morning. She can put it up in a second. I just want to
okay.
Sure, I have the.
We went to the ZBA last week and got unanimous approval from ZBA. And basically, just as a sum, this is pretty much a standard set of access steps over a inland bank, and then the mere 20-foot dock acts more like a catwalk, really, because it's passing over the BVW from the stairs. So there's no trampling of vegetation, etc. The depth at the end of the dock is 2.5 feet. And even if it was a saltwater dock, it's 250 feet away from anything else on the pond. And I think that was basically it. Just some quick revisions to organize some things and add the rack. So I'll address questions.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Tom?
I'm going to bring up a point that I used to bring up and stopped doing so because I understood what you were doing. But again, we're getting plans and revisions at the last minute. In all honesty, I didn't see Callie's note until 4 minutes before 9, which didn't give me time to download it, let alone consider it. Now, that may be a fault at our end, but considering that the paperwork was apparently deposited the day before, I will express once again my concern about the late filings. We just get inundated with these things, within a day or so before a hearing, which is just ridiculous. And so I object to us doing anything other than continuing this hearing in light of the late filing of the plans.
The only thing I saw this morning, that's why Mark, I was stopping to look while you were speaking. I saw a photograph, and that was it. And I thought that was actually helpful to see how that is configured. Go ahead, Callie. What else do we have?
So Dan Croto submitted the updated site plans, the existing and proposed, a couple weeks ago. So you should all have that information. Mark Burgess's plan that he does on his end, which is a shorefront consulting plan, there is a snafu, and so you did receive that yesterday. I asked Mark for it yesterday, and I think maybe given the times and everything that I got it as soon as I received it, and then I think the photo was sent late last night, and so I sent it as soon as I could this morning. So right now we have Dan Croto plans, Mark Burgess plans, and the photo. And the Mark Burgess plans and the photo were, I think, the ones that Tom is speaking about as it not having enough time to review them.
Correct. The photo doesn't bother me because I just looked at it. So I'm just looking. I have a Dan Croto plan dated June 22nd. And I don't see, I'm still looking in the Dropbox for something that came in, a revised plan from Shorefront, Mark.
So that's on the Dropbox labeled 95 Skyway NOI plan revision stamped. If it's not in the Dropbox, you may need to update the
Yeah, it's not in what I'm looking at. Maybe I'm not synced because my 95 Skyway is just 3 plans from September 4th, August 26th, and September 4th. Nothing beyond that. Do others have access to the revised plan from Shorefront? You guys, have you seen that? Because right now I'm
If you haven't synced, Janet, if you haven't synced your Dropbox within the last day, then it won't show up.
well, it says up to date. It says fully synced, so I don't know why it's not showing up in there. That's why I'm asking others if I'm alone in this issue. And the snafu, Callie, that made this not available to the commission members until recently, is that on our end?
No, it was on our end. When Dan, we all revised the plans within a couple of days. I did mine on September 9th, probably the same day, because all I added was a couple of lines on the plan view and the elevation to show where the kayak racks are. That was the only change to my plan. And I got it off to Dan, and Dan was going to submit all of the revised plans, which I misunderstood, thought it was going to be mine also, but that didn't get into the packet, and I didn't know about it until yesterday. So yeah, a snafu on our end, nothing to do with you guys at all.
Okay, well, snafus happen on all sides. Way too often because we're so digitally dependent.
I'm seeing the 9.9 plan revision on Dropbox, so.
Okay, so there's something wrong with my syncing.
Should be.
I've got it as well.
You've got it too, huh? Okay. Well, I'm not going to use my own situation as an excuse, but since at least two of us have not yet had a chance to look at it, I think that the best thing to do is to just continue this to the 28th so that we all have a chance to review, take our time. I know that I believe we have read into the record the correspondence that we've received. I don't think we need to do anything else there. I just have to figure out why I'm not seeing this.
Janet, through the chair to Mr. Burgess.
Yes, okay.
Mark, you had asked if there had been any comment letters that came in from the harbor master, from Ted Keon. I reviewed the project with both of them, and they didn't provide a comment letter. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, thank you. And here's a picture of the kayak racks on another seasonal dock in Long Pond. So that was the only addition to the plan, was to add lines that show those.
Right, that was, yeah, okay, oh, okay, well.
That was it.
Okay, I can't respond to that because I haven't seen the plan.
I understand.
Okay. And just to be sure, not that I don't take your word for it, but just to be, from the belt and suspenders viewpoint, I would prefer to give this, take it to the 28th and after I've had a chance to see it.
Janet, may I ask a question before?
Yes, go ahead. What else can we do today?
To Mr. Burgess, can
Yes.
you also remind me about the Chapter 91 licensing that's needed for this?
Yes, it'll be what's called the general license.
Okay.
It's a simplified form, 8.5 by 11 plans, and it goes only to, well, it still requires a zoning person, signature, things like that. So it's a simplified procedure. The public notice is done at the same time as the application is submitted. They're all done digitally now. But that's about it. The main difference, it's a little quicker to get, it's easier to get, it's cheaper to get, and it doesn't require stamp plans.
Okay. Have you already, do you have to submit a copy of the order of conditions with that licensing application so that it can't happen simultaneously, the two permitting processes?
I'm not sure yet. So I have another general license application that I'm doing right now. The public notice was just sent out and I can't get back onto it until a month later. Normally I would do that. Yes, I would want the order to be submitted along with the application, but this is the first time they moved everything digitally. So I'm not quite sure if we get to that stage.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Callie, did we already read the letter from the Division of Marine Fisheries?
I
Think
don't-
we may have last time.
I don't think
Well, it was received August 26th, so I think you did.
Yep, it would have been read at the 9th hearing. Okay, just need to make sure we covered that. All right,
Yeah, Bob Rawls, I do have one comment or question on I guess there is a separate mitigation plan now for this project. Before it was one mitigation plan,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it. And I think I had the same comment that I had on the other mitigation plan for the vision of the, I guess it's a sunroom or something. I forget exactly what it was. But it would be good to have some sort of delineation around this mitigation area. There will actually be two mitigation areas, I guess, with a path down in between them. But we asked for demarcation with the other plan. I think we should ask for the same thing on this plan.
I believe Dan's on the line.
Yes, Dan Croto. That's fine. I think on the last, for the upland notice of intent, I believe it was going to be spaced out stones to demarc it or something. I'm not sure how the order of conditions was written, but that's fine if you want to do the same for the other side of the path.
Yeah, I think that would be
okay.
good.
Okay. Anything else? Any other commissioners' questions or comments while we got these guys? Okay, so in honesty, Mark, continuing this to the 28th of October doesn't have any impact on the overall timing because we still would be aiming for the work session on November 4th for the issuance of the order. But just to follow up on Tom's comments and make sure that we're consistent about our requirements in terms of the timeliness of filings, and to give those of us with some technical difficulties here a chance to make sure that everything that is in the plan is ripe and ready for the order. We will take this to the 28th and ask you to reappear in case there are any last questions.
I understand.
Okay, is there a motion then to continue this to October 28th?
Bob Rawls moved to continue to October 28th.
Kit, second.
Okay, roll call to continue to October 28th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Pitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Unanimous, continue to the 28th. All right, thank you, Mr. Burgess. See you then.
Thank you very much. Zoom you later.
Yeah, Zoom you later.
Mhm.
The next item is a notice of intent for 83 Seagull Road, 30 Wickies Way, parcel N133, also known as 0 Tisquantum Road, 27, 59, 75, and 97 Tillipy Run, Seagull Enterprises Property LLC, USA Weather Station, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Quitnesset Associates, Inc., New Milford Realty Corp., 59 Tillipy Run Trust, Chatham Seabreeze LLC, and TR97 Tillipy Nominee Trust, SE10 3424, proposed dredging and sand placement at 83 Seagull Road, 30 Wickies Way, parcel N133, also known as 0 Tisquantum Road, 27, 59, 75, and 97 Tillipy Run, assessors maps and parcels 15A-1 H98, 15A-2 N133, 15A3-US1, 15A3-N136, 15A3-N137, 14A3-N131, and 14A3B. The applicants requested a continuance to October 28th.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the request?
Bob Rawls moved to continue to October 28th.
Kit, second.
Roll call vote to continue this to October 28th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Pitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes,
Aye.
continue to October 28th. Okay,
Okay, 203 Cross Street, Eric and Laura Nyman, SE10 3434. Proposed construction of swimming pool at 203 Cross Street, Assessors Map 14C, Parcel G7. I also received a last-minute continuance request for from the applicant to continue the hearing to 10/28.
Good morning, Bill Riley on behalf of the neighbors.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Riley.
We had a miscommunication between two flags. Primarily myself, sorry to admit.
Bill,
So I think maybe I'm looking at you're logged on twice, it looks like, 3 times. You're logged on 3 times. I think it's causing you this feedback you're getting.
Oh, I see. Okay, wait a minute.
There you go. There goes one.
What am I
There
doing
goes
now?
2. That's perfect. See, too many.
No, I can't hear you.
Oh no! Make sure you turn your sound on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't hear you, but so there was a miscommunication between Blue Flax and myself, and so Blue Flax is going to be out on the Nyman property today, so we should have a report for the commission on this issue either late this week or very early next week. We'd like to continue it to the 28th if that's possible.
We can do that as long as that report is submitted.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong here.
I can't help you if you can't hear me.
Yes, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I think, Janet, maybe the best thing is to just keep talking because.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know. I'll keep talking, and we need to, if that report comes in before the 21st, we need to.
Yeah, I'd have to leave entirely and come back in. I'll do that.
Okay, why just call? Oh, you can't hear me. Go ahead.
Janet, I think the October
leaving.
28th hearing is very full. It seems like there's pretty much everything from this agenda was continued to October 28th, except for the next one. In addition to the scheduling declaration that we have already.
So we have 4 from the declaration, and we've continued 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from today. I guess my only comment is.
I hear you. I don't want to overload the 28th.
I guess my only comment is, Phil, are you back on?
I am, yes.
Okay.
Okay. We're looking at our schedule for what we've got set for the 28th and thinking that hearing date is full.
Okay, well, this is for a swimming pool, so I wouldn't say that immediate construction is significant. So
Right.
if you want to push it to the first meeting in November, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I think so, because we've just continued 5 matters and we've got 4 new ones coming up on the 28th. So this will give Blue Flax a little bit more time. So let me just clarify that what we're going to be waiting for is a report on the environmental significance of the wetland area, AKA the ditch, focusing on the extent that it's exhibiting the functions and values of a wetland and the impact that this project would have on it.
Well, principally, we've asked Blue Flax to do a survey of the plant material located in the ditch. So,
Okay.
So that's basically the same thing.
Well, if that's the basis for providing the data on function and value, that will work. But since we have a little time, if they can get that to us well in advance, we can let Teresa know whether it needs any further data.
As I said, Teresa or her staff will be out there today. And she told me we could expect a report later this week or early next. So we'll get it to you as soon as we have it.
Okay. All right, then is there a motion to continue this to November 18th?
Bob Rawls moved to continue to November 18th.
Kits, second.
Roll call vote to continue to November 18th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Pitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So, all right, we'll look forward to the report and taking this up on November 18th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, 305 Main Street, Timothy C. Emerson Revocable Trust, care of Peter Emerson, Susan Gordon, trustee, SE 10-3393. Proposed demolition of cottage, construction of new cottage, construction of building addition to single-family home at 305 Main Street, assessors map 16C, parcel 33. We also received a last-minute continuance request for this project. The request is to be continued to January 13th of 2021. I notified the representative, David Clark, that the 2021 schedule for the Conservation Commission hasn't been voted on or approved. But it's up to the commission today if you want to continue something to a year with a set of dates that hasn't been approved or what.
I don't know in this situation. Can we do I'm looking at the calendar and the 13th would be our first hearing date in January.
Sure.
And I guess we can do that, even though it has not yet been voted on or approved, contingent, and we'll do the continuance, I guess, has to be contingent on the commission actually voting on and approving that hearing date. So we can do it for the moment and hope that this will work. David, you're with us, I see? You may not hear me. He's just wanted to get a sense from him about what's happening with the Historic Commission and what the current status is. We've been sitting on this application. By the time we get to January, it'll be coming close to a year.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Bill.
My partner, James Norcross, is representing the property owners in this case. And so he and I have been discussing the issues, and it has to do with the difficulty they're having getting the Historic Commission. They want to show the Historic Commission what they want to do with the building, and they're having difficulty getting the architect to make changes, which sometimes happens. Mm-hmm. So that has been the cause of the delay.
Okay. Okay. Well, they've got 3 months now between now and the hearing date. Hopefully that will be more than adequate to give them the time to make the revisions and be heard in front of the Historic Commission. Where do you happen to know? I'm going to ask you because you happen to be here. Where they are with ZBA?
They're waiting until they get
everything's waiting for the Historic Commission. Is that
but yeah, you and the Historic Commission.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there a motion then to continue this to January the 13th, 2021, contingent upon the commission approving that as a hearing date?
Yes, Bob Rawls, so moved.
Okay. I heard him say that even though he's muted. I saw that roll call vote to continue to January 13th. Commissioner Rawls.
Aye.
Kitts.
Aye.
Delvecchio.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
All right. We'll hope that we can finally hear and resolve this on January 13th. All right.
Okay, next
And with
item.
that, I think we need to take a 5-minute, my
Okay.
usual, move your eyes off your screen, stand
Yes,
up, stretch
please.
your
Thank you.
muscles, walk around for 5 minutes, and we will regroup in at 10:25.
Okay.
Thanks. All right, we're back. So, Callie, you want to read the next item on the agenda, please?
Sure. 47 Little Beach Road, Crimson Peak LLC is the owner. Morris Island Nominee Trust is the applicant. SE 103421, proposed demolition of existing dwelling and septic system, construction of new dwelling, meeting FEMA and FIP standards, installation of new septic system at 47 Little Beach Road, Assessors Map 16A, Parcel H50.
Okay.
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Riley. Before we talk about, I think we do want to talk about each of these individually. I know that they've both been continued by in front of ZBA for different reasons. And we did note on the revised submission, the proposal to merge these two into a single property and condominiumize the two structures. So before we start talking about them individually, I just wanted to ask you to address some process questions to clarify for us. First of all, the impact on our process of merging these two and creating a single property with two condominium units. I mean, I guess I'm not really sure because in the middle of the process this is happening. We have two NOIs. Presumably we'll have two separate orders of condition resulting in two certificates of compliance at some point down the line. How does condominiumizing and merging impact all of that? Do we need to change anything at this point?
I haven't thought about it from your process point of view. I think I assume that we would continue to treat them as two separate construction projects, as you would if we'd initially come in. If this was a single lot with two houses on it, and we wanted to modify both houses, that most likely we would have filed two NOIs anyway. So I didn't think there was a significant process change here.
Okay, I'm trying to sort out if that's the conclusion. I was leaning toward that, but hadn't quite reached it. So they'll be ultimately conveyed, or not, but they'll be the independent condominium units. Each of the structures will retain its own order of conditions and eventually meet or not whatever the certificate of compliance. So
that's correct. And so one of the advantages of putting them together, we have a single septic system rather than two separate septic systems, and which that can address far better than I. And and it also, this was a product of working with the neighbors and moving 47 further south, away from the path to the beach. And we also shifted 53 to the west, resolving the objection of one of the other neighbors. So, and then we were back to the drawing board in terms of the houses, the structures themselves and how they look, meeting with the zoning board. So, that is on as well. And when we were speaking this morning about what we're going to say, he said, well, say, do you have any questions? And we need to continue it.
Right. Well, we figured, right. We can do what we can today. We know that 47's continued until December 3rd, and 53 is the one. We'll talk about that separately. That's a little bit more of a concern because looks like there's redesign going to be going on there. Last question on the process. To condominiumize this, do you have to do a conveyance into a single deed? I will,
Well, under Chapter 183A, which is the condominium statute in Massachusetts, you record a master deed. So we have a common owner. The existing lot is, because we have a common owner, the existing lot line isn't particularly significant in terms of the master deed. So there would not actually be a separate conveyance of the two lots. They would just, be considered in the condominium. There would be two separate structures.
right,
And, I think
okay,
crafting the order of conditions, it will take a little more care, I think, than ordinarily, because there will be, we have to make sure that A, it's enforceable without difficulty, and B, that it's capable of being complied with. So those are the.
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I would see it. And that is, if you have any questions about what we're doing on the ground there.
Yeah, I think that at this point, we'd like to walk through the changes that have been made to the site plan for 47, and then the changes that have been made to the mitigation plan.
Okay, then I'd ask Thad to start with that, and then Jen Crawford's also on the line.
Okay.
Sure.
Callie, do you want to put up the, I guess, the site plan for 40? Yeah. No,
Yeah, Thad, are you there?
I am.
Okay, good.
okay, somebody's got, there's a lot of background noise coming. Is that you, Thad?
Mr. Riley? It's feedback from Mr. Riley.
Bill, can you just mute for a moment and see if that?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that did it. Okay.
All
All
right.
right, Thad. Callie's gonna put up the site plan and you can walk us through the changes, because it's been since June since we last visited this.
Been that long.
Yeah.
So
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Of who?
Of you and perhaps Mr. Riley.
Okay.
The last set of drawings I have are dated 9/24/20. Are we to anticipate that there will be another set of site drawings prepared, depending on how things go with all the other things that have been discussed in the last 15 minutes?
Yeah,
I'm
Madam
just trying
Chair.
to keep track of gone through so many versions of drawings on this thing. I just want to know if there will be another.
I believe there will.
Madam Chair, Bill Riley.
Yes.
Right now, we do not anticipate making a change in the foundation. The changes that we took away from the zoning board meeting that would have to do with the mass and scale of the buildings rather than their location. Right now, we're not planning on making any changes to the footprint.
Okay.
In other words, so the site plan won't change, so.
Okay.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, Thad.
all righty. If Callie could get the site plan up. If you could do page 3. Oh, very good. So the building shape itself changed. It became not as deep and a little bit wider, similar square footage. It, rather than being contained entirely on the lot, it now extends over the common lot line. And that's possible through the condominium. This allowed us to pull the deck back. It was was 3.2 feet off of that way. And now we're at 13.5 feet off of that way. And that also extends us further from the coastal dune. This gets the building itself outside of the 50-foot buffer from that coastal dune. It maintains deck there. That's an elevated structure sitting on piles. The grading changed slightly. We were able to pull a lot of that topography back. This will keep the front yard rather short, rather low, where a lot of the mitigation is going. The driveway is similar in size. The other features are similar. The original plan had steps coming off of the deck going down to the way, which is really a path. This proposal now puts those steps at grade on the south side rather than on the north side. We're tied into the common septic system, which would be denitrification. And by having more flow going into one unit, you get an economy of scale, and it is it'll denitrify better only because there's more available to work with. Additionally, with the microfast going up to multifamily, we get multiple compartments and we get a recirculating pump, which further denitrifies. If Jen has any comments about the changes in the landscape plan, I invite her.
In one moment, I just want to check with commissioners about any questions on the changes to the site plan. All right, then let's take a look, Callie, advance to the mitigation plan, and Jen maybe can explain to us what has changed here.
And did Jen stay on?
She's muted still, so if Jen, if you're talking, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So the changes to the mitigation plan really came about because the site plan changed, as Thad has already described to you. He completed the calculations for the new required mitigation for this parcel, and the mitigation shown on the plan reflects that, and I think we are still over the required mitigation numbers. I kept all of the mitigation plantings towards that property line so that it would be contiguous with the already naturalized and native area that's off property. I think that's a more valuable place to install that mitigation. And that's about it, to be honest. There's still the same types of species. There's still, you know, a tree there, a bunch of shrubs. There's still the forbs and the grasses. Yeah.
And what are we talking about in terms of demarcation of that area?
I don't think that's something that we had discussed before, but I did have a note on the plan just as was on their previous, that mitigation area should definitely be defined by something. And I had suggested steel edging or cobbles so that it was very clear where it went and where it, you know, lawnmowers don't go.
Yep. Okay. I knew there was something, and that was the note on the plan that I had seen. Okay. Yep. Questions or comments from commissioners on either the site plan or the mitigation plan?
Yeah, Bob Rawls, just to continue the demarcation theme on the other property, you know, the mitigation area is a little further away from the house and a little more amorphous, but nevertheless, are there plans, or could somehow that mitigation area be marked off? It's not a mowing issue so much as just, again, it's looking toward the future owners, so that everyone knows that that's a special area.
Are you referring to 53?
Yeah, I believe I am. Yes.
Oh, we're talking about 47.
Oh, I thought you said either property. So okay.
Oh no,
okay,
53. We have a question. Yeah.
I'll just I'll leave
I'll
that.
be
We'll
happy
remember
to
that
address
one.
that.
Yeah, I have that on my list too for 53.
Okay, all right. That's the only
Okay.
question I had.
Okay. So any other comments or questions on 47? Okay. So Mr. Riley, do you want to continue these until, together until after the next ZBA hearing in December 17th?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay. And it looks like you're going to be in the same contingent hearing boat. Because the next date after that, because of the holidays falling where they do, would be January 13th.
I don't have any plans for that day, so that'd be great.
There you go. Now you do. Okay, so do we have a motion to continue this to January 13th?
Bob Rawls moved to continue to January 13th.
And this is both of them,
Second.
correct?
No, just
Yeah.
We're going to vote on the other one separately. We're going to do them, but
Oh,
yes. I'm
thank you.
assuming that they're both going to be continued to the same date so that they can go to, they'll both be through all zoning. Everything should be finalized. It should just be a check-in to make sure that nothing's changed and prepare to take it to a work session in the first one in February.
That's
So I heard
correct.
the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Kitts.
Okay, roll call vote to continue to January 13th. Commissioner Rawls.
aye.
Kitts.
Aye.
Delvecchio.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well, so that's continued to the 13th. Now, 53.
Okay, 53 Little Beach Road, Crimson Peak LLC is the owner, Morris Island Nominee Trust is the applicant, SE 10-3419, proposed demolition of existing dwelling and septic system, construction of new dwelling meeting FEMA and FIP standards, installation of new septic system at 53 Little Beach Road, Assessors Map 16A, Parcel H52.
Again, good morning. Bill Riley on behalf of the trust. In a similar situation here, we've moved the footprint to the west. And I would ask Thad to review that with the commission.
Sure. Pulling up the previous plan. So previously, 53 was twisted in comparison to 47 and 46. We've mirrored the building. We've flipped it so that the little breakfast nook is sticking out the south side rather than out the north side. We've twisted the building back, which centers it better. This keeps us further away from the coastal dune. It's actually a little further away from the BVW across the street. It's the same footprint, and we're expecting to maintain the same footprint with a modification to the building itself. The septic system changed just like with 47 because it's a shared system. It's minor changes, but same general area. And we can let Jen go on about the changes in mitigation.
Okay, before we do that, just wanted to, I know you said that you're not expecting to change the footprint in the redesign to satisfy the concerns of the zoning board. And but just assure us, if their concerns are scale and mass, how do you satisfy them without changing the footprint?
Well, here's the important thing from your end. If we have to change something, it's only going to get smaller.
Well, there's that. I'm just looking, okay, so we'll have plenty of time.
Yeah, we will. Madam Chair, Bill Riley, I think, right now the buildings as shown are full two-story buildings, and I think what we're looking at now is story and a half or story and three quarters, use of dormers, where you bring the ridge height down, use a 12-pitch roof. I mean, all these things make the structures less massive and smaller in scale.
Okay. I have a question for Thad. The area just to the southeast of the corner of the building that's labeled proposed reserve area, what is that?
Under Title V, we're required to show an area where we could fit a compliant septic system should the primary septic system fail. In reality, we are able, if the system were to fail, we could go in and just rip it out and replace it there. It's a dirty job, but it's a better location for it. But that is under Title V. It's just a requirement.
Is that because you're turning it into a condominium? Because I've not seen this before.
It's because of expansion. If we were keeping the same number of bedrooms, we would not need to show a reserve area. It would just be the same.
Okay.
Currently,
So it's an area in which it's an area in which there's nothing is permitted because it has to be held in case it's ever needed for septic.
Yes. And currently the houses have 2 and 3 bedrooms formally, but then there are lofts that are used as bedrooms, so they're kind of partial bedrooms, but the Board of Health is taking it as an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just solidifying that. That's also what pushes us towards the denitrifying septic system, which is only good for the environment.
Yeah.
But it also mandates this reserve area that's it. It just sits there. If this system were to fail, which with the denitrifying system, it will increase the lifespan of that leaching area. But if it were to fail before sewer gets down here, we'd be back before you for some sort of remediation. And honestly, I'd be looking to put it in the same spot that it currently sits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. Questions on the changes to the site plan from commissioners?
Clark.
Yes, Tom, go ahead.
Okay. I don't know if this is a change to the site plan, but I've been looking at the September 29th version. I don't understand what is being designated with this. It's kind of a, I don't know how to describe it. It looks kind of like a line full of spades that goes around and outlines both driveways plus the roadway and stuff. What is that designating? I was looking for some key to it and I don't see one. So this probably just represents my ignorance of designations. But anyway, can you please tell me what that is?
Sure, that's just edge of shell line type that I use.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
That's just a hatch. It's an edge of shell, kind of to highlight the fact that there's the driveway is there.
Is it a seashell driveway?
They're either going to do a stone or a shell drive, so it's something pervious.
Okay.
So is the entire area that's encompassed by that, I don't know how to describe it, that marking, is that all going to be one large continuous driveway, so to speak, or roadway?
Yes. So the existing way that comes from Little Beach Road, serving 46, 47, and 53, that will be, once the construction project is completed, it will be remediated.
So this will become a roadway or a giant driveway or what? I'm just trying to
It
understand
already
it.
is.
I
Well,
heard
we
a
already
comment that I
have
missed.
Madam Chair.
We
Bill
already have
Riley, this is travel, intended as a travel surface located within the limits of an existing way shown on a subdivision plan. So call it whatever you want, but that's what it is. The travel surface provide access to the two homes is located within the limits of an existing subdivision road, unconstructed subdivision road.
Thank you, Bill.
Well,
Other questions, comments from other commissioners? I have one, Thad. I'm trying to get my things jumping around. There's a decrease, but still some remnants on 53 of impervious hardscape. What now is impervious?
open that 50.
I think it's showing 100 in the outer aura in your conservation the area for 53. Impervious in the outer aura is dropping from 640 to 110. And I guess I was just trying to figure out where that 110 is coming from.
So we have a concrete retaining wall.
Oh, okay.
We also have the apron leading into the garage.
Okay. That sounds like that might be 110 when you put them together. Okay, any other questions for Thad? If not, we can move on to Jen.
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Jen. Okay, 53.
So I'm happy to address the commissioner's previous question about demarcating the mitigation area in 53. In this particular case, because the mitigation area is in the resource area as well as within the 0 to 50, and it's not anywhere that is around lawn, or I don't believe in any danger of being mistaken for anything other than naturalized dune vegetation. I honestly don't think it would be beneficial to try to demarcate it with anything at all, because you'd end up with something in the middle of a dune, which who knows, might get wind blown sand over the top of it, or disappear anyway. That's just my thought about that particular comment, given the location of this mitigation. The only other thing that really changed with this plan is at the very, very beginning of the project, you had requested that we put any other Japanese black pine that may be on the property, that we approximate their location and add those. So that has also been done. Otherwise, nothing else has changed.
We did notice the addition of the 4 new Japanese pines.
Yep.
Okay. Questions on the mitigation plan?
I guess, Bob Rawls, I'll just say I can see the perspective of not needing to demarcate that area, so I think it sits okay.
Yeah, there's a dune on one side and the wall.
Yeah.
Seems to probably be sufficient. Okay. Questions, comments, considerations for the order of conditions?
I just have one, Janet.
Yep, go ahead, Bob.
On the Japanese black pine, forgive me if I'm mistaken, but didn't we want them to be removed from the dune?
Yep.
Okay, so that's being done.
Yep.
Okay, and so she's planting new ones upland from the dune. Is that the correct story?
I don't know that they're
No,
upland
the
side. There.
The Japanese black pine are being removed and native dune vegetation is being replaced in their stead.
Oh, I see. Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Okay, if we are set, then we will take this along with 47 to January 13th, assuming we approve that hearing date.
Yeah, Bob
Is there a
Rawls,
motion?
yes, Bob Rawls moved to continue to January 13th, assuming that that date is approved next year.
It's already full. It has to be approved.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Kit, second.
All right, roll call vote to continue to January 13th. Commissioner Rawls,
Aye.
Pitts,
Aye.
Delvecchio,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Holmes.
Aye.
I vote aye, so that will be continued to the 13th. All right, thank you, Thad and Mr. Riley. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
All right, Callie, moving on.
The next item on the agenda is certificates of compliance, 145 Pine Knoll, Tony Boynton, SE 10 3096. Certificate of compliance requested for after the fact work, including installation of a patio and pavers, replacement of several retaining walls, expansion and relocation of retaining walls, and restoration of the 100-foot buffer zone. This project, we received the requirements for the certificate of compliance. This is this is an after the fact notice of intent for work that was done without a permit. The mitigation area was planted, but several of the plants had died or were eaten by, deer and wildlife. And so the homeowner and Thad and Nick Crawford and I met on site quite a while ago, and they replanted the area. We actually met in January 24th, 2020, and they agreed to put in more plants to make sure that the project was in compliance. Crawford Land Management issued a letter saying that it is in substantial compliance with the order. I guess the only, it's up to the commission what you want to do. It's just there's a condition, special condition number 9, that requires the mitigation plants to survive for 3 growing seasons with a 90% success rate. So technically what happened is the plants they were in for 3 years, but they didn't survive with 90% success rate. But they've now they're at 100% success because they were all replanted. So it's up to you guys what you want to do. If you want to wait to see if they're successful for another year, or if you want to just issue the certificate of compliance. And if you do, I have a list of some ongoing conditions to give.
Is there any particular urgency, a reason? Is this property for sale or some reason that's driving the request?
No, not to my knowledge. I think the homeowner is eager to get the temporary irrigation out of his lawn, out of his mitigation area, but that's the only reason.
If the plants, if the new plants were only put in this past spring, wouldn't they still need irrigation, especially under our current conditions?
Yep.
Given the conversation that we've already had today about the difficulty of mitigation areas and survival, if there's no urgency, I'd rather give this another year. Yeah. Keep the irrigation going, because without it, these plants are not going to make it. And see if this 100% success rate holds for another year.
Okay.
Agree.
Agree.
Okay. I will make note of that and put it on the schedule basically a year from now, and I'll check in with the homeowner.
Yep.
Okay, and so
keep watering it and make sure those plants stay alive.
Okay, and then I'm just noticing a few people still on the call for.
Yeah, me too.
some of the rescheduled hearings. Janet, if you just want to maybe read your declaration.
Yeah, let me, for those who are waiting, I will reread the scheduling that we've done for applications that have come in. So scheduled for October 28th is 82 Jericho Lane, 497 Orleans Road, 185 Sears Road, and 90 Honeysuckle Lane. Scheduled for hearing on November 18th is 44 Tisquantum Road, 32 Sea Pine Road, 50 Old Salt Works Road, and 89 Taylor's Pond Road. And scheduled for hearing on December the 9th is 110 Seashells Drive, 94 Seashells Drive, and 60 Sea Mist Lane. And again, those dates are all posted on the town website if you missed your schedule date.
Okay, we I think sometimes too on Teams, if someone is, even if they've left the meeting, sometimes it still shows that they're in the meeting.
Yep. Let me just put it out this way. Is there anybody on the call on the platform who wishes to speak? Okay, I think they are just a lot of ghosts of people who may have been here before. All right, does that take us to adjournment? Callie?
Yep.
All right.
Right.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Bob Rawls, I do move that we adjourn.
And Kit's here will second.
Roll call vote to adjourn. Commissioner Rawls?
Madam Chair, one moment.
Yes?
We have one item from the Chatham Conservation Foundation that I believe was on the, I don't know if it got, it didn't get noticed, but I
No, it
was
didn't
under
get
the
noticed.
impression it was to come up today.
It didn't get noticed. It was discussed last week and it didn't get noticed in time, so it can't be added. So it has to go on the next hearing.
So the 28th?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call vote to adjourn. Commissioner Rawls?
Aye.
Kitts?
Aye.
Delvecchio?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Holmes?
Aye.
I vote aye. We are adjourned at 11:04. Well done, everybody.
Thank you.
Having said that, you
Thank
know,
you.
you just saw what we